What is up, guys? It's your boy Burnham Bricks here, and I'm going to show you today how to build the perfect prequel Jedi collection. Now, keep in mind, guys, I'm using mostly the live action versions, not really many of the Clone Wars variants, only when I have to. So first of all, it's up to you how you'd like to display them. I like to just put them in this kind of arrangement here because of the way I display the rest of my minifigures, but it's completely up to yourself. This video is mainly about what Jedi I would use for the prequel Jedi collection. So here's what the formation looks like. You can do it on yourself on just one of those medium-sized base plates. So first of all, starting with our most iconic Jedi Master, or Jedi Grandmaster should I say, Master Yoda. Now, he's pretty cheap to get. He's came in quite a lot of sets, and this is a live action version. I got him in the 2015 Spider Droid Kashyyyk set, so he's a great one, and it's definitely one you need for the prequel Jedi, seeing that he is the Grandmaster. So next up, we have the infamous Grogu, or as some know him as, Baby Yoda. So he definitely needs to be in your prequel Jedi because he was in the Jedi Temple back when everyone was being trained and he survived through Order 66. So I just put him at the front there. Next up, we have second in command, Mace Windu. Now, this particular figure was from the Palpatine's Arrest set. He's pretty easy to get your hands on. There's a Clone Wars version and a live action version. Not too expensive. I added the cape to him and I like this version the most because I just think he's a bit boring without the cape. Next up, we have Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I gave him this cape. He doesn't have a cape in any of the other sets, but I just gave it to him because I put him at the front with Mace Windu. Again, another set that's very easy to get as he's been in quite a lot of sets. This particular one, I believe, is from the General Grievous wheelbike set. I chose not to do the Duel on Mustafar one from 2020 because of the burn marks. Next up is arguably one of the most expensive Jedis on our list here, Agent Kohler. So he came out in the Palpatine's Arrest set. He currently goes for around $80 AUD. And he is one of two Zabraks on our list here. And if you don't know what a Zabrak is, it's the same species as Darth Maul, yet these ones are the light side users. Now, he is a really cool figure. Obviously, he was slain by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, so I put him in the third row because that's who was on high on the Jedi Council with Mace Windu. Next up, we have Saesee Tiin, another Jedi that was slain by Palpatine in Palpatine's Arrest set. He is a very cool Jedi and actually one of my favourite ones. There's a Clone Wars variant of this guy as well, as you can see just here, but the live action version looks 20 times better than him and he's a really cool figure. He goes for around 30 AUD. Perhaps even more because they're getting more and more expensive as time goes by. Next up, we have the amazing Kit Fisto. So he's come in a few sets. We haven't actually had one for quite a while. The last one he came in was the Palpatine's Arrest set and another really cool figure. He goes for around $12 to $15 AUD. He's definitely one of my favourite Jedi, especially after the Clone Wars and he first appeared in Attack of the Clones. He was a pretty wacky looking fella, but a very necessary Jedi and another cool alien in the prequel Jedi collection. Now we get to my next role of Jedi, and we're starting with Aayla Secura. So she came out in the 2017 Republic fighter tank, along with a gunner clone trooper, a very cool set. Now, there is also a Clone Wars variant of her. I unfortunately don't have it. It came out in the 2010 clone turbo tank, but this is just a really beautiful figure, probably one of my favorites, especially her vibrant blue skin really stands out among the display, and just a really cool figure to have. She goes for around 30 AUD. Next up, we have one of our most beautiful Jedi figures on the list, which is Luminara Unduli. So she actually came out in the 2016 Clone Turbo Tank, the third rendition of it, and she is just absolutely beautiful. There is also a Clone Wars version of her. As you can see right here, the live action version is just a lot nicer, but honestly, that Clone Wars version is one of the nicer ones we've gotten compared to some of the other guys we've got. Now, she's probably one of the more expensive figures from the prequel collection just because of how nice she is, and she's only come in one set. So she goes for around 60 AUD, maybe more these days, but definitely a necessary figure. I'm super happy I have her. Next up, we have Shaak, another beautiful figure. Now, this is one of the few Clone Wars variants of figures that I used in this big collection. As I said at the start, I prefer to use live action, but unfortunately we've only gotten a Clone Wars version of Shaak, but luckily it's still very nice. They nailed the printing on the headpiece. As you can see, we've got those Clone Wars style eyes and a pretty basic print on the body, but she is very cool. She came out in the T6 Jedi Shuttle. I got that when I was 12, and she currently goes for around 40 to 50 AUD. Next up, we have fan favourite Plo Koon. Now, this is one of two variants. This is the better one in my opinion. It came out more recently in the anti-vehicle canon, and the reason I say it's better is because the print's better, but also the material they use for his head is a lot firmer and the head doesn't get loose. A really nice figure. He's not really too common because he came in that one set, so I'd say he goes for around 20 to 30 AUD. Here is the other version, and as you can see, the color differentiation and also the print of the headpiece and the eyes really rubs off super easy on that older version, so I actually have him bagged up. Next up, we have the second Zabrak on this list, being Eith Koth. So please ignore the mark on his face, but a very cool figure and another one of those examples where we only got him in the Clone Wars version, so we don't actually have an updated version. Now, fun fact for you, this guy actually survived Order 66 and was later killed by Vader and the Inquisitors. I found that really cool in the comic. Now, this guy came out in the Republic frigate or cruiser, along with another few figures, being the Wolfpack Troopers, Yoda, and Quinlan. And he is super nice, even though he's only came in that one set. Super happy to even have him. He had a pretty big role in the Clone Wars, and I'd say he goes for around 40 to 50 AUD nowadays. Maybe even more, because he is very sought after, and as I said, the Zabrak figures are very cool. Next up, we have the What About the Droid Attack on the Wookiees? Oh, no, sorry. Ki-Adi-Mundi. So, this is arguably one of the cheapest figures on this list, that being because he came out in a clone battle pack. Now, personally, even with all the controversy, I love this figure. I love the detail on him. And before that, we only had a Clone Wars version of him, which looked very rough. In fact, I think the face of this one is probably one of the worst Clone Wars figures we have. But I think they really nailed this figure, and he probably goes for around 5 to 10 AUD now. Generally $10. I think that's what I paid for him, just because he came in that battle pack along with Luminara's apprentice. So he's a really cool figure, definitely a necessary one, a very popular character from the prequels. Next up, we have probably one of my favourite characters, that being Rusty from the Yoda Chronicles. Now, he's not actually a canon Star Wars character. He was just featured in the Star Wars Lego Yoda Chronicles that Lego made. But nonetheless, he's a really cool figure, and he really stands out in the whole collection. And that's what I love about the prequel Jedi collection, is that there's so many different aliens. And this guy's actually one of the more expensive ones, going for around 50 AUD. And he came out in a big Jedi Starfighter with Jack 14 and a few other figures. So, really cool. Highly recommend him. I just love that we even got this figure as a Jedi. Next up, we have one of my other favorites. Like I said, I'm just a big sucker for cool looking aliens, and this guy is Coleman Trebor. So, I think a lot of people were surprised when we even got him, but thankfully Lego in 2013 and 12 and 14 were just going on a crazy Jedi creating spree, and they were just making every Jedi they could think of. So we got him in the 2013 ATT with Mace Windu, and he was actually the famous Jedi that was killed by Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones. He's pretty memed on, but a lovely figure nonetheless. Another more expensive one, going for around 50 AUD nowadays. I love this figure, and I just think we'll probably never get him again. So a really cool figure you should definitely pick up. Next up, we have Ahsoka Tano. Now, we've had a lot of versions of Ahsoka Tano with the old Clone Wars style faces. Now, I love the one on the right. The one on the left, the Padawan one, is nostalgic, but she's just not great. And the middle one is our most recent one from 2020. Now, as I said, I like to choose live action looking figures over the Clone Wars one, so that's why I use the middle one, and because she has the most updated printing. Now, this is the Mandalore Ahsoka, a really cool figure, and she's not too expensive because she came out so recently, so I'm going to say around 10 AUD. Next up, we have another awesome alien Jedi figure, with that being Evan Piell. So he currently goes for around 15 to 20 AUD, and he came out in the Saesee Tin Starfighter. Now, he was a really cool figure, and he was very prominent in the Clone Wars, but his first appearance was actually in the Phantom Menace. So if you go back and watch that award ceremony, you'll be able to see him there, and really cool that we even got him as a figure. Now, pretty far down the line is the one and only chosen one, Anakin Skywalker. Now, this is the variant I like the most. Obviously, there's been like hundreds of versions, but this one from the 2012 Palpatine's Arrest set is definitely my favorite. Now, the body and leg printing isn't the most up-to-date, but for some reason, I just really like his face print. I love the scars. I like how wide his face is. Sometimes I feel like the Lego faces are really small. This one also came with a cape, and I just love all the details on him. He's just by far my favourite Anakin and the one that stood out to me the most, so he was the one that I wanted to display here. And I also think it's pretty fitting that this is the Anakin from Revenge of the Sith right before he becomes Darth Vader. Next up, we've got Star Sully, another amazing alien Jedi figure. Now, she's definitely one of the nicest ones, and she's super accurate with the purple eyes and the unique headdress. A lot of these Jedi figures actually have super unique helmet pieces or headdresses, so it's really cool that LEGO put in all the effort for this figure. Now, she came out in the 2013 Spider Droids set, so she was the main draw for that set. Obviously, we've had a lot of Spider droids, and she goes for around 30 to 40 AUD. A really cool figure. I can't believe we even got her, so LEGO did a great job. I believe also this is the character who was shot in Revenge of the Sith by the two clones on the speeders. So, fun fact for you. Next up, we have the very cool character, Quinlan Vos. Now, fun fact about him, he actually survived Order 66 and went on to be in a very deep relationship with Asajj Ventress. So, I think they were dating even during the Clone Wars, and he actually left the Jedi Order at some point because he turned to the dark side. You can YouTube all that, but this figure came out in the 2016 Clone Turbo Tank with Luminara Unduli, and another really cool figure that goes for around 30 AUD or 40 AUD, and he's just a really nice one. One of the most unorthodox figures, characters, and just a really cool figure to have with their unique hairpiece as well. So they did a great job on this figure. It's actually one of the more recent prequel Jedis we got. There's also a Clone Wars version that looks a lot worse than this one, but unfortunately I don't have him. Next up, we have Nadar Veb, which was Plo Koon's apprentice. He came out in the 2010 General Grievous Starfighter set. He's probably one of the most cheaper Jedis, and a really cool one because he's the same species as Admiral Akbar, and he goes for around $10 AUD. A really cool figure, just a nice another little alien to add to it. Next up, we have the traitor herself who bombed the Jedi Temple, Barriss Offee. So she's one of the Jedi figures that we've gotten the most renditions of, which honestly is super random, but this is the 2009 version, which is the first one we got in the very overpriced Swamp Speeder. So it's the Revenge of the Sith version. Not as much printing, but she's really cool for her time, I think, and she actually used more of the black pieces in this figure version as opposed to these two versions. So the one on the left is the Clone Wars one, which came with Ki-Adi-Mundi Clone Wars version. And now I really don't like her. I think she looks terrible. I hate the short cape. And the one on the right is the one that came out with the live action Ki-Adi-Mundi from the Battle Pack, Clone Battle Pack. So both of those versions actually came with Ki-Adi-Mundi, which is quite interesting. But this middle one just came in the Swamp Speeder, and I just think she looks the nicest out of all of them and easy to display. Now, if you want to save on this one, the live action one on the right is good as well. So she goes for around 5 to 10 AUD, and the one in the middle, which I use, goes for around 15 to 20 AUD. So it's really up to yourself. Those one on the right are the both live action versions. And keeping in mind here, the whole point of this video is to show the figures that I prefer, which are the live action. Next up, we have Qui-Gon Jinn, a fan favorite, one of the more cheaper figures because he's came out in a million sets. He goes for around 5 to 10 AUD. He's came out in quite a lot of the Darth Maul sets. Now, he was on the Jedi Temple in the Phantom Menace, and before that, and fun fact, he was the apprentice to Count Dooku. So, a really cool figure, definitely one to add. I don't really have him at the front because he's not in Episode 2, 3, or the Clone Wars, and I just think the alien figures look a bit cooler than him. Last but not least is the amazing looking figure, Pong Krell. So he goes for around 40 AUD. He came out in the earlier version of the Arc 170. I can't remember the actual name of it, but a really cool figure. I can't believe LEGO even made him. So I hope one day we get Dexter Jetster from Attack of the Clones, the Dino guy. But another really cool figure. Even though he turned to the dark side, he was still in his Jedi robes and everything, so I like to include him here, and he looks cool. Obviously, he goes at the back of my display because he's the tallest, and it'd look quite silly if he was at the front. But definitely one you should get, especially now before he goes up in value. But he's amazing. He's so cool. Now, it's worth noting here that I could put Kanan Jarrus in this, but since he's a little bit older in this and in his Rebels robes, I didn't want to put him in. Of course, if we get a Padawan version, I would definitely chuck him in, but just wanted to make that note. And again, there's quite a few figures that I'm missing here, believe it or not. So I'm just going to go through them now, which figures that I also didn't include. Now, the first one being Jek 14. Now, he's a Force-sensitive clone. Just doesn't make sense to put him in, and he's not canon, and he doesn't even make sense to be canon, whereas Rusty, the other Jedi from the Yoda Chronicles, makes a lot more sense to be canon. Next up, another Yoda Chronicles figure. I just don't have him. His name's Rowan Freemaker. He was like a Jedi Padawan, so I definitely need to get him as he's going to be a cool addition. Next up, for another one from the Yoda Chronicles. This one's just being the Padawan Jedi. Now, she came in a Comic-Con exclusive, and she's actually pretty random. She has a very similar face print to Princess Leia than just like a normal Padawan body. I think it's for Anakin, and then just the short legs. Now, she's a bit more hard to get because she came in the Comic-Con exclusive, so I haven't been in a rush to get her. Next up for Jedi Bob, same reason as the other one, as Rowan Freemaker. I just don't actually have him. He's pretty expensive to buy, and I haven't gotten around to buying him yet. Now, he's just a random Jedi that the LEGO creators just added into the 2003 gunship, and he's just a bit of a meme in the community now, so I really hope we get a remake of him one day. Now, lastly, who could technically be included is Count Dooku, as he was a Jedi at the Temple for some time, but he is a Sith at this current point, and as I said with Pong Krell, even though he became a Sith, he was in his Jedi robes, and same as Anakin, I didn't want to include Count Dooku. At the moment, we get a normal Jedi version, which will be never, but I would definitely include him then. But anyway, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Send to a friend if you really like it. Here's one last look at the display. As you can see, I've tried to place them all as best I can. You can change the way you do it. You can also do like the stair type display option. But this is how I like to do, and this is all the prequel Jedi. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching.